that we're going to be creating for this slideshow is a composite image of all of the images that we photographed in OpenShade, and we'll create another document for all the images that we photographed in direct sunlight in relationship to our ISO bracketing project. Once you've located the folder that we need to download from Drive, because that's where we've been storing our images, we'd like to download these to manipulate in Photoshop. So once you've located your folder, we want to go over here to our three little dots, and we want to hit download. It's going to zip together a file for us, and it should appear in our downloads folder. I am going to stop this because I'm going to go ahead and cancel the download because I've already done this. And now what I'd like to do is go access this file that I've downloaded. I'm going to click on the desktop to open up my Finder, and up on the top up here, I'm going to go to Go, and this will allow me to access my downloads folder. Here's my zipped file that I got, and up here on my, it's a duplicate of the same folder basically, but these are the 7 images that go along with my project. At this point now I can close this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down this window, and I've got Photoshop opened up, and now I'm going to start working in Photoshop at this point. So we've got to open these things, so I'm going to go over here to open, and in this dialog box it pops up over here, but it may not pop up for you. So what we might want to do is go into our username, which should be your name. Once you're in there, you can access your downloads folder at this point, and here's my folders with all my images in it. Now you might notice that I have 7 images in here, so this actually covers all of the ISO from 100 all the 6400. So I can select the first one, hold down the Shift button, and click on the 7th one, and I can open all of these at once. You may have extra images in here that you don't want to open up. In that case, if you need to select ones individually, if you hold down the Command button, you can select and deselect the images that you need. But I need all 7, so again, click on that first one, hold down Shift, and click on that last one, and we're going to open these up. It's going to take a little while, but what we're going to do here, we've got to resize these images, do a couple things to the background layer over here. We've got to rename that, and at that point we can drop them into a newly created document, and we'll have all 7 of these images on the same document. So let's begin here. We've got 7 images, 1, 2, 3, and all the way to 7. We also have this dialog window that we can open up and select the images as we see fit. Now again, how I photograph this, ISO 100 references this first image, 200 is number 2, 400, 800, 1600, 3200, and then 6400. That I want to keep in mind when I start to place these in my final destination image. But to get there first, we have to resize these images. They're fairly large. So I'm going to start with number 7 and just work my way through. To resize, I'm going to go up here to Image and cruise down to Image Size. Click on that. And again, I don't need them huge. This is just going into a slideshow. So I'm going to make sure that resample is on at 300 dots per inch. And I'm going to settle on a width of 3 inches and a height of 4.5 inches. Now I just have to do that 7 more times. So we're going to go pretty quickly here. And moving along here. I'm going to keep moving along as fast as we can here. We want to make sure that we've got all of these images formatted to the same exact size. This will make our next couple steps a little easier. And I think I got one last one to do. And we'll go up here again to Image, Image Size, and we're going to go with a width of 3 and a height of 4.5. Resolution 300. Resample is checked when we do this. Now before I click OK, I want to take note of what I've done, because I need to use these measurements to come up with my final destination document. So I've got a width of 3 inches and a height of 4.5 inches. So the height of the document that I'm going to create is going to be at 4.5 inches. but I have 7 of these images, and I want to accommodate all 7 of them. So the width of this document is going to be 21 inches. I want to keep that in mind because after I click OK, we're going to go create that document for ourselves. At this point, we want to go up to File. We want to go to New, and we want to make sure that it is on inches. And we've got 3 inches here. I want to go to 21 inches because that would accommodate all 7 of my images. 4.5 inches should be fine. 8-bit, all of this looks great. We're going to hit Create, and we've got this very long document. Now what we're going to do is do a couple steps, but essentially we're going to copy and paste those existing images that we took into this, this new destination image. Alright, so we got to do a little bit more repetitiveness. We've got a couple tasks to do. Right now what I'd like you to do is go on to our one of our images, and on the background layer I'd like you to double click. And what this is going to give you the option to do is to rename it, and we're just going to leave it at layer 0. Why we're doing this is because if we don't, the actual layer is locked, and the cut and paste, or copy and paste I should say, will not work on this. So we just need to double click and rename it layer 0, and that lock goes away. And we're just going to keep doing that until we're kind of done with our images. Now you might notice I can't see number 1. Again, I got this pull down window here for me, and I can go access that number 1 for me. So again, double click on background layer, rename it, and layer 0 is fine, and I'm just going to recheck to make sure I didn't accidentally skip over one of my files. Alright, now it looks like we've renamed everything at this point. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little room for myself, so I'm going to collapse my layers palette for myself. And all that does is expose that untitled image for me. So I want to click on that real quick and make sure that's there for us. Now what we'd like to do is that's what I wanted to talk about. As I line these up, I would like to progressively go from ISO 100 all the way to 6400. And as I talked about before, number 1 is my first image that I took at ISO 100. My second image is at ISO 200. My third is at 400. My fourth is at 800. 5 is at 1600. 6 is at 3200. And finally, number 7 is 6400 ISO. So I'd like to maintain that progression in my ISO on this document. So all I've got to do is click on the object, or the file. At this point, I want to make sure I'm on my Move tool. Pardon me. Now that I'm selected on my file, I'm going to hit Command-C. Now I've copied it, and I'm going to come over to my new document, and I'm going to hit Command-V. Now, I want this thing to kind of register in Snap to, and register against all my other images that I'm going to drop in here. So I'm going to go up to View, and there's this tool I can turn on, and it's Snap to, and we'll have it snap to our other layers. And what this will allow us to do is to register together. Now if I can just slow down a little bit there. There we go. We got that dropped in. That's number 7. Now on to the number 6. Again, copy and paste. Command-C and then Command-V again. And then we'll bring it on over. And that Snap to does a pretty good job of helping us out a little bit. So it's number 7, number 6. Let's go to number 5. Command-C for me. That's copy. And Command-V is to paste. And all we're going to do is just kind of register these things as we go along. Number 7, number 6, number 5. Let's go get number 4. Command-C and Command-V. Moves pretty quickly as we start going. We might see a little bit of bleed through because we have a little bit of inconsistency in our images, but we can crop that at the end to clean it all up. So again, I think we're on to number 3 at this point. So this would be ISO 400. Command-C copies it. Command-V will paste it. Alright, we've only got 2 more to go, so we're going to go up to File 2. Command-C and Command-V. And now it's kind of stacking it on each other, but if we're on our move tool, it isn't too hard to go grab it and drop it where we need it. And we're going to hit Command C one more time, go back to our final file, and then we'll hit Command V. And now we've got a pretty nice looking strip of identical images. The only thing altering on this thing is the ISO that we can kind of look at. Now, if we want to clean this up a little bit, we could go over to our crop tool. If we go to original ratio, it should give us a pretty good opportunity to crop it in. I don't want to crop it that much, but to take a closer look, I'm going to go in with Command plus, that's zoom, and I'm going to hold down my space bar, and that'll allow me with my trackpad to kind of move my canvas around. And it looks like if I just bring this up just ever so slightly, oops, that should be good. Now, if I'm satisfied with the crop, I'm going to hit Enter or Return. And now I'm going to hit Command 0 just to zoom out again to the whole piece here. Now I'm going to open up my layers palette again because we've got to do some things with this. We have a lot of layers here. Google Drive will not, or I'm sorry, Google Slides will not accept a PSD. So what we've got to do now is take all of these images and compress them into one. We're going to go up to Layers, scroll down here to Flatten Image. That will compress all those layers into one background layer. At this point, we can now save it as a JPEG, and our Google Slides will accept that. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go up here to File. We're going to go to Save As. We don't really want to save it to the cloud. Let's go to Our Computer. And in here, we've got our ISO bracketing. Let's rename it. We'll call it Open Shade. And we'll call it Bracket. And again, we want to make sure that it is a JPEG. And we'll click Save. And maximum quality would be great. 12 would be excellent. Now at this point, we have an asset that we can add to our slideshow for open shade. We will repeat this process for our direct sunlight images as well.